Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn problems based on superposition theorem. So let us start with question number 1. Here we have to find current I in the given circuit. Okay, obviously whenever you come across such questions, it is nowhere mentioned that you have to use a superposition theorem. In fact, since we have actually started with superposition theorem, we have to solve the problems based on the superposition theorem. Otherwise, we do not actually go for superposition theorem. Okay, just because it is necessary to learn problems based on superposition theorem, I'm going to follow this. So question may arise, when to apply superposition theorem, when not to apply superposition theorem. So let me tell you guys very clearly that for this case, at least by applying normal KCL KVL, we can easily find current I, because ultimately what we have to do is we have to find this current I. So by using normal KVL or KCL, you can actually find this current very easily, rather than going for something called as superposition theorem. Okay, so let us begin our discussion. In superposition theorem, it is mandatory that we should consider only one source at a time. Okay, so in case number 1, what we will see is we will consider only 20 volt. Of course, when we consider 20 volt source, 5 ampere source should be made 0. Okay, so what we do with the current source? Obviously, the current source gets replaced by its internal impedance or internal resistance, which is infinity. In fact, it is considered as open circuit. In that case, this current I, this branch current I, I'll consider this one as I dash. So what we are supposed to calculate in this case is I dash. In case number 2, what I'm going to do? Very simple. In case number 2, I'm going to consider only 5 ampere. So by considering only 5 ampere, so when I consider only 5 ampere, this 20 volt should be made 0. If I want to make voltage source value to be 0, I need to replace it with its internal resistance, which is 0 ohms. And of course, with electrical context, I can say by open circuit. So the voltage source I need to replace by short circuit. Now, this is what overall situation I told you, that is case 1 and case 2. And let me be very clear to you that this sum is very simple. Such kind of problems you may not get in the final exam, that is GATE exam. But then why we are doing this? Very simple. So as to get very much comfortable with superposition theorem, how to apply, only for that purpose only I have taken this simple problem. Next problem, if you see, I'll actually keep on increasing the complexity. Okay, and of course at the end I will tell you when to apply superposition theorem. Okay, so let us begin with our case number 1. So in case number 1, it is quite clear and visible that we have considering only 20 volt. We are considering only 20 volt, and as you can see, 5 ampere is open circuited. So guys, when 5 ampere is open circuited, obviously when this is considered as open, when this is considered as open circuit, obviously this 2 ohms will become a redundant part. Okay, so what is remaining, I have only drawn. Let me call that branch current not as I but I dash. So this I dash is what we called as a loop current. So you can either apply KVL, or by using simple Ohm's law, I can say that current I dash is simply the voltage supplied divided by total resistance, isn't it? So what is the voltage applied? Voltage applied is 20 volt, divided by what is the total resistance? 4 ohms and 6 ohms are connected in series. Effectively it becomes 10 ohms. So I dash effectively comes as 2 ampere. So this is case number 1. Let's move quickly to case number 2. So in case number 2, what we are going to consider? Only 5 ampere source acting alone. Meanwhile, the 20 volt source is now replaced with short circuit. As you can see here, this was a 20 volt source which is now considered with short circuit. What I have to do is I have to again find this branch current, which I have named as I double dash in this case. Okay, how we are going to deal with that? Let us see. By observation, if you see, it is sourcing 5 ampere current, and of course it is not affected till this point. Of course there is a node formation, so it is getting divided into 2 currents. So mark my words, current is getting divided. When I say current is getting divided, now I can use something called as current division rule to find I double dash. So by current division rule. Okay, I'm sure you must have watched all previous basic videos, so applying current division rule shouldn't be the problem. So I double dash, which is nothing but the divided current, which is given by total current. What is the total current? Of course, total current is 5 ampere multiplied by, whenever you are finding a particular current, a particular branch current, we take opposite resistance. Opposite resistance is 4, divided by total resistance. When I say total resistance, you have to consider only 4 and 6. Do not consider 2, because 2 ohms is not contributing for division of current. Please understand, till this current is still 5 ampere. After this, it is getting divided into 2 parts, right? Therefore, only 6 ohms and 4 ohms are contributing in division of current. That's the reason why when I say total resistance in the denominator, it is actually 6 plus 4. I hope you understand this. Okay, so when you solve this, how much you get? 5 fours are 20 divided by 10. So how much it becomes? Obviously 2 ampere. And now by superposition theorem, I can say total current I, which is nothing but summation of I dash and I double dash. So what was the previous current? Previous current was 2 ampere plus I double dash is also 2 ampere. Effectively, it has become 4 ampere. That's it. That's it. This is how we are supposed to solve a problem with superposition theorem. I'm sure you have understood this problem. Let us move to the next problem. Let us begin with question number 2. Here you have to find current I by using superposition theorem. As you can see, this is a branch current I, which we have to find using superposition theorem. So as you can see, there are 2 sources, 1 ampere as a current source and 1 volt as a voltage source. We have to consider only one source at a time. So what I'm going to do, I have planned to keep 1 ampere current source. Meanwhile, we have to, neutralize this voltage source. So how do we neutralize voltage source? By replacing it with short circuit. So let us start with case number 1. As you can see, what I have done over here is I'm going to consider only 1 ampere. Meanwhile, as you can see, the 1 voltage source which was earlier here is now replaced with short circuit. Effectively, as you can see the circuit diagram in front of you. Okay, so let me see if there is any scope where I can actually minimize the circuit. Okay, for that, as you can see, if this resistor network, right, it is actually appearing to be very complex circuit. Okay, let me make it very simple for you. Let us use something called as point method that we have already seen while minimizing the resistors. Okay, that is nothing but equivalent resistance. If you have referred that chapter, I have actually taught how to do something called as a point method, how to apply point method. Okay, so let me assume this point as A, let me assume this point as B. So because of the short circuit, I can consider even this point as B. Of course, this point has to be taken differently or treated differently. So let me say this one as point C. So it's all about, this circuit consists of only 3 points, that is A, B and C. So with that, let me draw the equivalent circuit. Okay, so let me begin with the current source, which is 1 ampere. Let me consider 2 points, that is A and B. Okay, next, observe carefully where this 1 ohms is connected. It's connected between A and B. Whereas even this 1 ohms, if you observe carefully, this is also connected between A and B. So when 2 resistors are there which are connected between 2 same points, I can say that they are connected in parallel. So obviously 1 ohms and 1 ohms, when they are connected in parallel, the effective is always half of it. So I can say half ohms is connected between A and B. So I'm already done with these 2 resistors which I'm now pointing with. I have done with this 1 ohms and 1 ohms. Okay, let us look at this 1 ohms. Where this 1 ohms is connected, it is connected between point B and C. Where this 1 ohms is connected, okay, it is also connected between point B and point C. So can you see that 2 resistors are connected between 2 points, 2 common points. So obviously they are also connected in parallel. Okay, but unfortunately we do not have something called as point C. Why not to consider point C somewhere here? Okay, so between B and C, there will be a parallel combination of this 1 and 1. which effectively becomes how much? Of course, it is half. So half ohms is connected between B and C. Finally, what next? As you can see, this 1 ohms is still remaining. Okay, let us trace where this 1 ohms is connected. Can you see that this 1 ohms is connected between point A and point C? So between point A and C, this 1 ohms is connected. Can you see that? Let us draw. We have got point A and we have got point C. Between that, 1 ohms is connected. Don't you see the circuit has become damn simple, and this I double dash is what we are supposed to find, right? The current which is flowing through this branch is I double dash. So over here also it will be I double dash. So there is no harm in, combining these two resistors together. Okay. Effectively my circuit will become, simpler and simpler. So I have got 1 ampere source as current. Then I have got half ohms which is connected across it. Of course, it is between point A and B. Okay. And this 1 and half, they are connected in series. So of course, when they are combined together, it is going to become 3/2. And this I double dash is what am I supposed to find, isn't it? Again, we have to use a concept of current division rule here. Let's have a look. As you can see, this 1 ampere is approaching to this node and then it is getting divided into 2 currents. So this current am I supposed to find, right? So I double dash, by using a current division rule, total current, come on, it is 1 ampere multiplied by, okay? Since you are supposed to find this current, we are going to take opposite branch over here, divided by total resistances which are contributing in current division, that is half ohms and 3/2. So it is half plus 3/2 in the denominator, isn't it? If you solve this, you will get I double dash as 1/4 ampere. Finally, what I have is I double dash. Okay, it's not I double dash. Let me just correct it. It is I dash only. Okay, as you can see from the beginning, it is I dash. So let me replace everywhere with I dash. Okay, of course, the notation was wrong. It's I dash only. It's not I double dash. Okay. So I dash is what we have is 1/4 ampere. Okay. Still, it is case number 1. Still, we have to consider the voltage source, which was 1 volt. If you remember, it was connected over here, right? So we have to now consider that in case number 2. So let me just show you the original problem once again. Yes, here is the problem. This time I'm going to consider this 1 volt and of course this 1 ampere current source. I'm going to have something called as open circuit here. Effectively, how circuit will look like? It will look like this. Yes, definitely it will look like this. As you can see from the left hand side, the current source has been removed. 1 volt is now considered. And we are supposed to find this I double dash. So let me say this is case number 2, where we are considering only 1 volt. And of course 1 ampere current source is open circuited. As you can see clearly that, it is actually forming one bridge. I hope in the physics you have learned something called as bridge. Okay. So as you can see, it is forming a bridge circuit here. Why I'm actually telling you that it is forming a bridge circuit? Because I'm going to use a concept called as a balanced bridge concept. Okay. If you see clearly, for example, let me assume this one as R1, R3 here, R2 and R4 here. If you see that R1 by R3, it is exactly equal to what? R2 by R4. Because as you can see, every resistor is having the equal value. Okay. Since it is satisfying this relation, I can claim that this bridge is a balanced bridge. Okay. So I can claim that the bridge is balanced. If the bridge is balanced, now I can say that these points, like let me say point 1 and point 2, as well as point 3 and point 4, okay, all of them are equipotential point. Okay, all of them are equipotential point. So I can say that very particularly point 3 and point 4 are equipotential points. Come on guys, when I say there is a current, so obviously current have got a tendency to flow from higher potential to lower potential, isn't it? Current flows from higher potential to lower potential. If you observe this current very well, which is I double dash, it is flowing from 0.3 towards 0.4, isn't it? But when I say 0.3 and 0.4 are at same potential, definitely there would be absolutely no current flow between 2 points. So between two equipotential points, the value of current which is flowing, absolutely, in fact it is not flowing. So if you want to give a value of the current which is flowing between two equipotential points, it is always 0. So with that conclusion, I can say that I double dash value is equal to 0 ampere here. I hope you have understood the concept. In the physics that you have learned, that they do connect something called as a galvanometer. Okay, if galvanometer is going towards right, okay, or galvanometer is going towards left, it indicates that there is a current flow. Okay, and the direction of galvanometer shows you the direction of the current. But if the galvanometer shows you absolutely no deflection, that it is neither going to the right position or left position, it indicates there is a balanced bridge, or absolutely no current is flowing between 2 points. And then I can say that these 2 points are considered to be equipotential points, and let me tell you, it happens only and only when the bridge is balanced. Okay, since bridge is balanced, it is going to form equipotential points, and between two equipotential points, current flowing between them can be considered as 0. It concludes that I double dash equal to 0. So by using now superposition theorem, okay, total current I is actually I dash plus I double dash. Okay, so let us recall what was the previous current. Okay, so previous current was 1/4 ampere plus I double dash is 0. So total current effectively is 1/4 ampere. I hope the concept is clear. Let us begin with question number 3. Consider the following network. If voltage V is equal to AV1 plus BI2 plus CI3, then the values of A, B, C are, and the options are given. We have to find the correct option. The type of question is MCQ, that is multiple choice question. Obviously, only one option will be correct out of the given. As I said that, I keep saying that, for last two problems, that is question 1 and question 2, it wasn't mandatory to apply superposition theorem. But in question 3, it becomes mandatory, guys. Why it becomes mandatory? Because as you can see the voltage, total voltage, can you see it is actually function of V1, V2 and I3. V1, V2 and I3. So basically some response, I'm calling this one as response. Okay, let me call this one as response. So whenever the response is given with a linear relationship between the individual sources V1, V2 and I3, and if they are asking you for coefficients, okay, what they are asking you is A, B, C. So these are called as coefficients. So when they are asking you for coefficients, let me tell you, there is no solution other than superposition theorem. So I was actually waiting for this problem to convey you people when to apply superposition theorem, because at the start of lecture I said it very clearly. I'll tell you when to apply superposition theorem. So let me tell you very, very clearly once again, for question number 1 and question number 2, it wasn't mandatory to apply superposition theorem. If that problem comes in the gate, okay, stating that just find current I, okay, I'm never ever going to apply superposition theorem there, because it actually, waste our time, because we have to replace only one source at a time, draw the equivalent circuit, solve the problem, then take the second source, again draw the equivalent circuit, and in worst case scenario, what if there are 3 sources? Let's get back to the point. Okay, here what I will be doing is I'll consider only one source at a time. So in first case, what I'll be getting is V dash, okay, in terms of what? V1, and I'll get some coefficient and I'll call that coefficient as what? A. In second step, I'll get my V double dash in terms of what? In terms of V2. So I'll be getting something called as BV2. So here I'll be getting the value of B, and at the end I'll consider only one source, which is nothing but I3, and I'll be getting my response in terms of I3. So here I'll be getting CI3. Okay, so this is how I will get, A, B, C value, because at the end when I say total response, it is always, it is V dash plus V double dash plus V triple dash. Okay, let me tell you once again, V dash is nothing but the response because of only V1 acting alone. V double dash is a response. Again, V double dash is a response when V2 is acting alone. And V triple dash is the response, again, this response when I3 is acting alone. And that's the reason why you are getting responses in terms of V1, V2 and I3. Of course, by using superposition theorem, when you just add it up, you will get this relation. Here you will get the values of A, B, C, and then only I can choose the correct option. So let me begin with V1. Okay. So when I'm beginning with V1, V2 needs to be replaced with short circuit and current I3 needs to get replaced with open circuit. I hope you can imagine the circuit. Okay. I would request rather to pause this video and draw the equivalent circuit and then confirm with my next slide. Okay. So I'm sure you must have done that. Okay. So this is how now circuit is looking like. Okay. So we had V2 here. So I'm going to replace this with a short circuit. And of course, this has to be open, right? Okay. And what I have to find is basically, this V. Okay, let me call this V as V dash now, because this V dash is the response which is occurred only because of V1 acting alone. So let me write. So it is V1 is acting alone. So I can say that since it is a parallel circuit, okay, as you can see, it is a parallel circuit. So even across this 100 ohms, it will be the same voltage V dash. Okay. What my point is, even though I combine these two resistors, even though it's a parallel combination, right? So even though I combine these two resistors, okay, effectively it will become, 50 ohms, obviously, and voltage across this will not get affected. So there is no harm in combining these two resistors. Effectively, how circuit will look like? It will look like this. Look up. A voltage source V1. Then we had 100 ohms which was connected in series, and effectively over here I have 50 ohms, and here what I have is V dash, isn't it? So what I can do now, as you can see, this 100 ohms and 50 ohms are connected in series, and we know that in series circuit voltage gets divided. Okay, so here is the clue. I can find my V dash by using voltage division rule. So by using a concept of voltage division rule, I can find V dash. So V dash by voltage division rule is the total voltage, which is nothing but V1 multiplied by. Now V dash is across which resistor? Of course it is across 50. So I'm going to multiply with 50 divided by those resistances sum which is contributing in voltage division. So obviously both resistors are going to contribute 100 also, 50 also. So 150 is what we have over here. Okay. So ultimately V dash, I can say it is 1 by 3 times V1. And let me congratulate you that I got the value of A, which is 1 by 3. Look at this. I got 1 by 3. So it is going to eliminate at least option C. Okay. The competition is between option A, B and C, because as you can see 1 by 3, 1 by 3 and 1 by 3 is common. Okay. If you are very smart, okay, by observing option A, the value of B is 1 by 3. The value of B is also 1 by 3 here. The value of B over here, it is also 1 by 3. So if you are intelligent enough, you will never ever calculate value of B because it is 1 by 3. I'm telling you before solving that. So if you want to actually save your time, do not calculate B. You should calculate C. Of course, while solving this problem, I'm going to calculate B, okay, because I bound to explain everything. But in your case, you should only calculate C, because on the basis of C only you can differentiate between option A, option B and option D. I hope you understood my point, okay? But let me actually go step by step. Now I'm going to consider only V2 voltage source so as to calculate B. I know the value of B is 1 by 3, okay? Let me confirm. So I'm going to start with case number 2. So when I'm considering only V2, as you can see, V1 is short circuited and current I3 is open circuited, okay? And that's the reason why it is not in even a picture. Okay, over here, again I have to find this voltage V. Let me call this one as V double dash, and due to a parallel circuit fundamentals, even this is V double dash. Again, there is no harm, absolutely no harm in combining these two resistors, okay, which is a parallel combination. So 100 ohms connected in parallel with 100 ohms, obviously it will give me 50 ohms. Effectively, it will look like this: a 50 ohms resistance with the same voltage across it, which is V double dash. Then I have a voltage source V2 and I have 100 ohms here. Again, use the concept of voltage division rule. So by voltage division rule, total voltage, come on. First of all, what I want is V double dash. So let me write V double dash. Okay, it is equal to total voltage. What is total voltage? V. Now V double dash is across which resistor? Of course, it is 50. Divided by sum of resistors, which is 150. Of course, V double dash is 1 by 3 times V2. So it is confirmed. It is confirmed. The value of B is 1 by 3. Okay. So we were too smart, to actually identify the value of B before we could actually solve that. Let me start with case number 3 without wasting the time. So in case 3, consider only I3. Of course, V1 needs to be short circuited. V2 needs to be short circuited. Okay. And this will be called as V triple dash. Okay. Now, if you observe carefully, let me just redraw the same circuit. This 100 ohms, instead of drawing in the horizontal arm, I have taken vertical arm. For some reason, I'll tell you why. Again, I have 100 ohms here. Again, I have got 100 ohms here. Very simple so far. And the current source is I3. What I want really is V triple dash. Now, let's have a look. Observe carefully. Current I3 is approaching. And it is getting divided into 3 currents. As you can see clearly, it is getting divided into 3 currents. Use common sense, guys. If current is getting divided, over here I'm making a statement, a very responsible statement, that the current gets divided here but equally. Why I'm saying, guys, it is getting divided equally? Because as you can see, in branch 1 the resistance is 100, in branch 2 resistance is 100, as well as in branch 3 the resistance is 100. So when there are equal resistors and when current is getting divided, obviously it will get divided equally. Okay. So since there are 3 branches, I can easily determine the current flowing in this branch is basically I3 divided by 3. I hope you understood that. 1/3 current in every branch makes a full current, isn't it? So why I'm doing this, because ultimately what I want is V triple dash, and by using Ohm's law, it is simply the branch current, which is nothing but I3 by 3 multiplied by, multiplied by the resistance value, which is 100. So I can say that V triple dash is simply 100 by 3 times I3, isn't it? Of course, it is a conclusion that the value of C is 100 by 3. Isn't it? Let's get back to the options given. What I have understood, it is option B. It is option B, because 1 by 3 is common. 100 by 3, the value of C, it is 100 by 3. Even it was in option C, but option C initially only we discarded because the value of A is not 1 by 3. I hope you have understood this problem, guys. Okay. Ultimately, what I have to write this relation, by using again superposition theorem, I can say that total voltage is equal to what? Come on, it is AV1 plus BV2 plus CI3, isn't it? The value of A is nothing but 1 by 3, so it is 1 by 3 times V1, plus value of B was also 1 by 3, so 1 by 3 times V2, plus the value of C is 100 by 3, so it is 100 by 3 times I3. This is what we actually conclude at the end. I hope you have understood this. Let us begin with question number 4. We have to find current Ix for the given circuit. Okay. Again, as you can see, there are 2 independent sources, which is 10 volt and 3 ampere, and 1 dependent source, which is 2Ix. Never ever deactivate dependent sources, because dependent sources depends on some controlling variable, which is Ix, which is over here. Okay. So until and unless this Ix becomes 0, this dependent source will never ever deactivated. Okay. So whenever you are activating or deactivating source with respect to superposition theorem, do these experiments and procedure with only independent sources. So let me start with case number 1, where I'm going to consider only 10 volt, and of course 3 ampere needs to get neutralized by open circuiting it. This is how the circuit will look like, right? So let me call the effective current as Ix dash. So let me call this one as 2Ix dash. Okay. So as I can see over here, I can apply simple KVL. I can find Ix dash. Okay. So by KVL, that is Kirchhoff's voltage law. As I have already taught the shortcut how to apply KVL. So I can take sum of all the resistances present, which is 2 plus 1, which is nothing but 3. So 3 times Ix dash, which is equal to summation of all the voltage sources in clockwise direction. Okay. So when I'm going from negative to positive, I can consider positive 10 here. and then from positive to negative I can say minus 2ix dash here. Effectively it has become 5 times ix dash, which is equal to 10, and now I can say my ix dash is simply 2 ampere. So ix dash is 2 ampere. This is what my case number 1. Okay, let us move to case number 2, where I'm going to consider now 3 ampere acting alone while this 10 volt will be short circuited. Okay, let me remind you what was our problem. See, now I'm going to consider 3 ampere acting alone while neutralizing 10 volt. So let me start with case number 2, where I'm going to consider only 3 ampere acting alone. Okay, so I have considered this, and earlier what voltage source we had over here I have replaced with short circuit. So let me call this current as ix double dash. So this source becomes 2ix double dash. In fact, I can do some smart work here. Okay, pay attention. Ix double dash is flowing in this direction, so I can actually calculate the voltage across this. Okay, and voltage across this, you need not to really go with a rocket science. It's just Ohm's law. Okay, so it is current into resistance, which is ix double dash into 2 ohms. So I can say that voltage across this 2 ohms is 2 times ix double dash, isn't it? So as you can see, if I consider this one as a reference node, I can now consider this node voltage as minus 2ix double dash. I can consider this node as minus 2ix double dash. I hope you understood this, okay? Because as you can see, this node is connected to the negative terminal of 2ix double dash voltage, and the positive voltage terminal is connected to ground. This is how this node voltage has become minus 2ix double dash. If you have not understood this, it's okay. Okay, let me just take some case study here. Suppose if you have this kind of circuit, the similar circuit I have taken. Let us assume this is 2 ohms. Let me assume this current as, let's say, 3 ampere. Let us say we know that. Okay, and this is ground. So since this 3 ampere is flowing in this direction, the voltage across this can be calculated as positive terminal here, negative terminal here. Current into resistance will give you voltage. I can consider 6 volt. Okay. Now, if I want to know what is a node voltage, with respect to ground, as you can see, this node is directly connected to the positive terminal of 6 volt and minus terminal of 6 volt is connected to ground. So I can clearly say this node voltage is simply 6 volt. On similar grounds, let's say I have this kind of circuit. Again, I am going to take same value, which is 2 ohms, but this time the current is flowing in this direction, which is 3 ampere. Obviously, the voltage I can calculate with positive terminal here and negative terminal here. Current into resistance, by using simple Ohm's law, I can say 6 volt is the voltage. Okay, so if I want to know what is a node voltage with respect to this ground, okay, so obviously since negative terminal is connected to this node, I can say it is minus 6 volt. I hope now you have understood the reason why I have taken this node voltage as negative and that too as minus 2ix double dash. Okay, so I hope my point is clear to you. So let me rough these case studies so that I'll get some space to solve this problem. So let me continue my discussion over here. What I can do is I can now apply KCL. Let me apply KCL. Minus 2ix double dash node. Okay, and let me show you here that it is like this. If you observe, it is 3 ampere incoming current over here. Okay, then ix double dash is the incoming current over here. Okay, please do not forget, when we apply KCL, we take summation of all currents equal to 0. According to the KCL, we take incoming current as negative and outgoing currents as positive. Let me take this current as outgoing. Now I have to calculate this current actually. Okay, how do I calculate it? Very simple. What we have over here is a dependent source having value as plus minus 2ix double dash. Okay, so let me say this current it is going from this terminal to the ground terminal, right? So accordingly, I know what is a node voltage over here. So what is a node voltage over here? It is minus 2ix double dash. Okay, now it is easy for me to calculate. Okay, so let me first of all start with this current, which is incoming. So incoming current we take negative, so I can say minus ix double dash. Then we have this 3 ampere current which is incoming. Let me take minus 3 ampere. Then this current is outgoing with respect to this node, I can say positive. And let me now calculate this current. As you can see, it is starting point is minus 2ix double dash. So minus 2ix double dash minus, how much is this? It is 0 volt. But meanwhile, we have got some voltage. Okay. So when I'm moving in this direction, I'm going from positive to negative. So I can say minus 2ix double dash divided by total resistance in the path. Okay. So since we have got, I guess there is 1 ohms resistance in between. Yes. So let me replace 1 ohms resistance in between. Yes, we had actually this resistor. Okay, it just I could not draw that over here. Yeah, now I have that resistor. So divided by total resistance, which is 1, and of course this is what is equal to 0. I hope you understood that. Okay, so minus ix double dash minus 2 will become minus 5ix double dash, which is then equal to positive 3. So obviously ix double dash, what I get is, it is minus 3 by 5 ampere. Ultimately, I have got all cases outcome, which is ix dash and ix double dash. So again, by using superposition theorem, I can say that total current ix is simply ix dash plus ix double dash. So what was my ix dash? Let me go back. It was 2 ampere. So it is 2 plus ix double dash. But since it is negative, I can write minus 3 by 5 here. So effectively, it is how much? It is 5 2s are 10, 10 minus 3 is 7. It is simply 7 by 5 ampere. I'm sure you have understood all those problems. In the next video, we are going to see even more problems. Thank you.